Hello and welcome to Continental Club Extra, our brand new show on Euro Football Daily, where we show Premier League fans what they've been missing from around Europe. Now, we're going to be quite flexible with this show. We're going to review potentially some of the weekend's action. We're going to preview some Champions League action. We're going to put a potential signing under the microscope. So stay tuned for the place to be for European football. Today, we're going to talk about Victor Osimhen, McCubs, because that guy well said, talk about Osimhen to United. But before we get into the transfer, for anyone who's been living under a rock over the last few years, who is Victor Osimhen?
Yeah, I mean, I think you would have had to be living under a rock, wouldn't you? Because he is one of the hottest strikers in Europe right now. He has been for the last few years. He's just been superb since signing for Napoli. But yeah, if you go into his kind of background, Nigerian striker, has played for a number of clubs in Europe now, was snapped up when he was only 18 by Wolfsburg after what was a superb showing, I think, at the Under-17 World Cup. When he was, in 2015, Nigeria won the tournament. I think he scored, I think it was either 10 goals in 7 games or 7 goals in 10 games. But injuries became a problem for him at Wolfsburg. He had a number of spells out.
Bout of malaria.
He had a bout of malaria when he was leaving them. So then I think Club Bruges he had a trial with them, but then they decided against that because he was just so physically weak at the time. Charleroi then took him on. He was excellent there. Earned a move to Lille, where he shone as well, and then got that, I think, in the region of €80 million move to Napoli off the back of his form at Lille. So, what originally was quite a number of setbacks at the start of his career, then had a very quick rise up to Napoli. Since he's been at Napoli, he's obviously been great. Also has had injury problems as well, but 36 goals and 10 assists in 72 games. Got a hattie on the weekend as well. He is running so hot this year. I think his expected goals per 90 are rank him around second or third in Europe. So, this guy is really hot on form right now, and I'm not surprised to see the links with Man United that we'll get onto in a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Henry, there's going to be links all around Europe, but before we get into that, just to touch a little bit more on his season, because he's been excellent when fit, and Napoli have been phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like this season's been kind of his career at Napoli condensed down into a very short period of time. He's missed 6 games with a bicep injury. We see him playing with this mask anyway from a previous injury to his face. But when he has played, he's been unbelievable. 8 goals, 1 assist in 10 games so far, and he's helped Napoli establish that 5-point lead at the top of Serie A. Massive weekend for them this weekend with the teams behind them sort of dropping off points, so they're looking excellent. And as you said, he scored a hat-trick too, a really well-taken hat-trick across the board. But he's missed 45 games in 2 and a bit years with Napoli. But when he plays, I think Spalletti said he'd rather have him than Mbappe at one point this season, which shows you how important he is. But he's just... What I love is he came back from injury and he was desperate to score. I've not seen a striker of that much hunger. He's smashing the ground when he's caught offside, etc. Just working so hard for every single effort. He's got an amazing relationship with Kavica Kvaratskhelia going down that left flank. So he's been brilliant. And in the Champions League too. He's only played 2 Champions League games, but he's been scoring goals there as well. And it's good for Napoli to have him in. They haven't even really needed him in many regards because their forward line have been firing so hot. Scored 20 in the competition so far, conceding 4. Playing Liverpool tonight. So if you want to see more of Osimhen, I think tonight is the night to really get a good snapshot of him at Anfield. He's an electric player. He's amazing. Just look at his goal against Roma if you need anything. 81st minute or something like that. Pops up with an unbelievable winner just moments after missing maybe a chance, an easier chance to take the match. But that's kind of what you get from Osimhen. It's not always the prettiest kind of football, but he's so driven. He wants to win the game so much, and he will get you goals. He'll pop up in the air. He's lightning quick. He's kind of the full package, really.
Yeah, absolutely. He's phenomenal, and it'll be so intriguing to see how he does against one of Europe's best tonight in Virgil van Dijk, who probably hasn't been at his best so far this season. But McCubs, why does this move to United so intrigue you? I'm guessing you're a big fan of this.
Yeah, I am. Obviously, there are risks in terms of the injuries, but at the same time, I think what Osimhen has proven is that he's very much someone who will bounce back from those. I think he's an incredibly resilient person. I was reading before we came in today that he had a pretty hard growing up in Lagos. He lost his mum at a very young age. He was having to kind of graft out on the streets when he was a kid. This is a guy, like Henry was saying, very, very driven and has been ever since he was a kid. So, although the injuries are a worry, I think the kind of mental strength of the player to bounce back from those isn't. I think he's kind of really got what it takes to get to the very top, and he's very much getting there. As for United, United are in need of a centre forward. Marcus Rashford, I think, has performed very admirably this season. He's really back on form, and I think he can work well as a number 9. But I think if United want to be a consistent presence in the Champions League, if they want to eventually challenge for Premier League titles, I think they need more of a specialist in that area. And like Henry says, I think Osimhen is pretty much the full package. I think maybe his link-up play can improve, but in terms of pressing, he's an absolute press monster. Physically, he is, very strong, very fast. He really likes to bully defenders. That obviously comes into his pressing as well. All you need to look at is, what he did to Joe Gomez in that first game, last month. To see what a handful he is for defenders. He's great in the air. I think half of his Serie A goals last season came with his head, although he hasn't actually scored any headed goals this season. But nevertheless, he does have a variety to his play, and he's great at holding up. I think this is the thing. It's like often, when we talk about strikers and strikers that are underperforming at clubs, often it's kind of like, oh well, they want the ball into feet, but they're getting balls in behind, or they want to go in behind, but they're getting balls into feet instead. Osimhen can hold up, get a ball into feet, and he's also excellent at going in behind as well. And I think that's something that United have missed. I think that's kind of what United fans got a taste of with Edinson Cavani, I think. But obviously Cavani was 35 years old and had injury problems of his own, and was in and out of the side. I think with Osimhen they would get another former another Napoli legend like Cavani. But who is can do the kind of same things. Great movements in the box, takes shots from great areas, and just has so much to his game.
Yeah, absolutely. And at his age, so much room to grow and improve as well. And it feels like, I think only Rashford and Antony have scored over 2 league goals this year. And with Martial's fitness still an issue, feels like Ronaldo will almost certainly leave next year, and that clears £480,000 per week off the wage bill as well. So they should have a budget to be able to make a move for a player like this. But Henry, the crucial question is now, do you see it happening?
Certainly not this January. No, I don't think so. I think it would be nonsensical of Napoli to capitalise on a cash-in, I should say, on a player when they're doing so well across the board in all competitions, set to make history. This season, maybe their best season. They're on course since the 1990s, early 90s, really, aren't they? And I think the sporting director of the club, Cristiano Ronaldo, he's responded to various rumours about players leaving, saying, "We're currently not focused on the market. We're not planning to do anything in January. We want to keep this squad." That makes complete sense. If anything, they need to bring in a few more defensive reinforcements to get that team over the line. That said, there's no reason why this can't happen down the line. United certainly have the financial capacity to make a move for it. It won't be easy, as you kind of intonated. It's going to be a big money deal, probably north of £90 million. Yeah. And the Napoli president, the great Aurelio De Laurentiis, he is a tough negotiator. He does not take fools wisely. He sold a 28-year-old Higuain for £81 million. PSG paid £58 million to sign Cavani. Probably a good deal, actually, that one. And then he waited for Koulibaly to be 31. It's not easy to get players out of Napoli. It really isn't. There's sort of the whole kind of the way the city works. It's quite sort of intoxicating at times. And I think, Osimhen will be loving what he's doing there. He's got 3 years on his contract too. But yeah, obviously moving to the Theatre of Dreams, as it's called, is always a big move for any forward. But yeah, I mean, just if you look at the other options who can play in the style that he plays, he's shoulders above them. I think maybe Abraham, he's probably going to be gettable at some point. Jonathan David, he's certainly going to be available. Marcus Thuram, Terem Moffi's coming for Lorient. But of all of them, Osimhen is the man that you want to go and get. So I think that probably if Manchester United are serious about really finding that man to fit that system, and they're very tactically flexible now. We're seeing under Ten Hag, they're capable of pressing, they're capable of sitting back, they can kind of do it all. And as McCubbin pointed out, Osimhen would fit into that perfectly. But yeah, I think next summer, it's something they should certainly consider. Yeah, absolutely. I think the big issue for them will be competition from other clubs, to be honest. I think Bayern are looking at a striker next year. There's been plenty of talk about Harry Kane. He's going to cost a lot of money and is in a completely different stage of his career than Osimhen as well. Osimhen probably makes more sense
as a long-term target. Maybe Real Madrid will be looking for a striker in the next 2 years if Benzema is starting to wind down as well. So guys, potentially get excited for Osimhen's arrival in the Premier League, but as we say, it's going to be a mega move. Now we're going to move on to our second section of the show, which is, we're going to call it What You Need to Know from European Football for the rest of the week. And what you need to know for this week is what is happening tonight in the Champions League, specifically in Group D, because the Cubs, there is a four-way battle for qualification out of this group.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty mad, isn't it? I mean, I think the Champions League in general the group stage has been slightly dull in some ways. I feel like a lot of places were decided in the last 16, even by match week 4 or the end of match week 4, and by match week 5, yeah, it was almost complete foregone conclusion in both groups. But yeah, not in Group D. Spurs on 8 points, Sporting CP on 7, Frankfurt with them on 7. I think only behind them on head-to-head, although they're playing tonight, and Marseille on 6. So yeah, it's all to play for. Spurs are going away to Marseille, never an easy place to go to. I'm not quite sure whether they'll have fans in tonight or not. If they do have fans in, it's going to be difficult. And then yeah, Sporting welcome Eintracht. So yeah, I mean, it's been a really topsy-turvy group. I think my gut is saying that Spurs and Eintracht will go through. I just think Eintracht are in really good form at the moment. I know they lost to Dortmund on the weekend, but they probably should have won. Gregor Kobel had an absolute stormer in goal. And I just think, I don't know, Marseille is a hard place to go to, but I just think Spurs are better. Marseille, I think, as well, they're just not in good form. They started the season great, but the last month's been pretty forgettable for them. I don't know what you boys think.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point about Marseille's form. I mean, Spurs haven't been great. They had to come back from 2-0 down against Bournemouth at the weekend. But Henry, I wanted to ask you, if Spurs don't go through this group and end up in the Europa League, is that even more pressure on Conte? I mean, you feel like it's probably going to be his call to leave Spurs, but it's not gone well for him so far this season. I mean, results have probably been a lot better than performances.
Yeah, I think they've got some last-minute winners and results that have brushed over the wider issues. I mean, go 2-0 down against Bournemouth, they looked dreadful for a lot of that game. They basically relied on 2 set pieces to kind of claw their way back into that, which is not what you're expecting from a team of that capacity. I mean, they're relying way too much on a front three to sort of make all the action happen and sort of try and hit teams on the break, and teams are sussing them out, as United certainly did. So yes, I do think there's going to be pressure on him. I mean, this is a crazy group where all the teams kind of dip in and out of form all season, but Tottenham really, you're looking at, they have to be coming out of this group, but they haven't won away in the Champions League this season. I was just reading Chancellor Mbemba said it's going to be a war
Wow.
when they play each other, which is, and I think there are going to be fans in. I think already Spurs fans have been banned from the city centre in Marseille, so it's going to be a serious clash, and this is kind of what Marseille thrive off, this kind of hostility. So yeah, I think Conte's going to be up against it.
Absolutely. So guys, that is what you need to know from European football this week. Group D tonight in the Champions League. Personally cannot wait for those games to kick off. Guys, let us know what you made of Continental Club Extra and what do you want us to see us cover in future weeks in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you later on the week.